How you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm good. All is well. First and foremost, I appreciate you taking out your time to stop by and talk about your mental health journey. It's definitely appreciated. And I definitely take my hat off to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for opportunity to have me.
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt. For the viewers, let them know what your name is and definitely where you're from.
Jonathan Green. I'm originally from Florence, South Carolina. Live in Knoxville, Tennessee now.
Oh, okay, that's what's up. I'm in Tennessee. I'm in Nashville.
Oh, okay. You ain't far away at all.
Right, right. I'm just visiting, but I ain't. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay, okay, yeah. I've been there too. Where I work at, one of our we got an office there.
Oh,
So
okay.
okay.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Now, I guess my first question is this: when did you realize your mental health was something that you needed to take seriously?
Um, I think it's probably like in my late 20s after like one of my first breakups from one of my relationships. Was kind of like struggling with depression and stuff like that. And that's kind of what was going on within the relationship too. Was like we was both trying to balance our depression and stuff and supporting each other with it. And so after that relationship, I was like really like, hey, I got to get a handle on this because like it's weighing heavy on me. So I started going to therapy then and just kind of trying to take some steps of just understanding what I needed to.
Okay, okay, I can dig it. It's kind of funny because it's like with mental health, everybody it just kind of kicks in at different points because you read about children going through it. We obviously all had to go through something in childhood, but just the rate of children committing suicide or maybe the bullying, maybe the social media, you never know exactly. Maybe it's a combination of things, but I know for myself, I didn't really think about mental health. I didn't really have no mental health problems that I was aware of till maybe like a year or two before COVID. Like you say, you go through one of them kind of breakups, and you're like, something, you know what I'm saying? It's a little deep, you know.
Yeah.
But the thing of it was, and like I say, I don't know. If it felt like I was to the point where I was just getting over it. So this was like 2018, 2017. Just I'm like, this 2019 just ended, 2020 coming. I'm finna be this and be that. And then COVID came. And it
Oh
was
man,
I was
yeah.
2020 was about to be my year, man. I'm telling you. And it just blew me away. Then I was just feeling like the rest of the world on top of having to deal with what I was dealing with.
Oh man, yeah, that's rough after like a breakup and then isolation right after that and trying to navigate all that.
Yeah, yeah, because I was in South Africa, so I spent my whole 2020 basically in Africa. I wasn't even in America, so I was by
Oh,
myself.
oh man, really just
hmm Yeah, yeah. Now I can ask you, looking back, what's the journey been like for you? The good, the hard, the in between.
um I think really it's just been figuring out how to balance like my faith with the mental health because growing up Southern Baptist, you always taught to just pray it. Hey, you just pray it, you'll be good. Just Um, and it was actually one of the preachers that I went to. He was pretty big advocate of mental health, and he was like, God wants to help you, but you gotta have that help for yourself too. So it's okay to get that external help from medication or therapy or something like that too. Just gotta carry that along. So I think that's been just part of a journey too, is just being like, it's okay to not be okay some days. That don't mean I'm, not carrying that shame with it. Like, hey, you ain't feeling good today. That's hey, some days that's just it. Some days, um, and I think that's the biggest one is just like, hey, not shaming myself for like I'm used to being a productive person, runner, doing a bunch of stuff, being supportive of other people and stuff. So it's just I think not shaming myself when I'm not feeling good, and then also being genuine about it and stuff too. I think that's the biggest thing. Like I think it's so easy to be like, man, I'm not feeling good. And it's like, oh well, you just being lazy or you could do better. And it's like, no, I'm just not feeling good today. Like I just need that support. So and finding that groups of support people where, hey, sometimes we both we rocking, we both ain't good. We just we sitting there together, not good. We ain't got to try to fix it, just sitting there. So I think that's been like the good and the bad, and just understanding that both of those are equal parts of it. You know.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Because it's like I say, I kind of noticed it around a little bit before COVID, but once I started going through it, I could look back on certain times in my childhood where some stuff just come out later, like that's what was happening or that what was going
Mhm.
on, and I can remember not feeling good. Like I wasn't sick or nothing, but I guess my parents were like, "Oh, he irritable or something," or I don't know what's wrong with him. Or sometimes, having that anxiety, worrying, growing up poor, worrying about your parents fighting, worrying about getting thrown out of this place, worrying about, just general things that maybe the average kid probably shouldn't even have to worry about, but you
Oh
go through
yeah.
those things. And then, like I say, in life, you later on, at least for me, I reflect on it now, like, wow, that's what was going on. Now that I have a mental health group and you have other people to feed off of, and hear their stories, and that's good for you that, like you say, you had somebody to talk to about that. Most people ain't got not even one person,
Oh yeah.
especially black men.
That's what and I think that's been part of a journey too, is just kind of like let go of that thing of like you got to be strong, you got to carry this. I think that's like the counter thing. Like if you have mental health, you got to be just like strong and put on this facade and this mask, and that kills us on the inside. I think, especially as black men, it's like we're taught to be providers and strong and stuff, so it feels like you can't be vulnerable or let that thing open. But that's I agree with you too. I look back at a lot of times where even growing up, where it's like, man, I got to pick up my head, and it's like, man, I don't really feel like it, so it feels weird. But it's interesting looking back at it, knowing what I know now. Like, okay, that was what was going on with me, or even looking at like parents or other family and stuff too, because it's not talked about a lot. With I feel like we're talking more about it now with mental health stuff now, but like even looking at like my mom and stuff like that, and like always a hardworking woman and stuff, but like the times where it's like, oh, that's when she was depressed or when she was anxious and stuff too. Like, just seeing some of the stuff that we're talking about more now.
Yeah, the conversation is definitely out there now. Like I say, after COVID, it just wasn't no way to hide it no more. But I think,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, I don't know. I could be wrong. I think everybody have some type of mental health issue at some point in their life or another, if not throughout. It's like anything else. How many people done broke their arm, or how many people had to get a tooth pulled, or how many people done slipped and fell, or got a disease, or had to fight cancer. You know what I'm saying? We know the physical, but it's like the mental part is carrying you. The mind is there with you when you was in that car crash or when you got shot. So that's a part of it too that people leave out.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Like you say, like any of those things also has like, the mental part that we has to heal or stuff too, or that has an impact on it. Even you know, um, just generational stuff where like there's our parents and grandparents were experienced racism and went to war and came back and they didn't really get anything. There is no package that like we're all still figuring it out of like how to heal from that. And so they passed we had that weight to carry too, of like, man, they had to get this and they had to process it. Just you got to process it the best way you got to.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
trying to raise kids and the family and stuff too, and they balancing all that. And so yeah, I think it's interesting trying to like we're all trying to heal mentally, physically, and spiritually from so much. And then I feel like after the pandemic, like it's crazy because like we were kind of told to like. I remember at work, it's like, hey, it's back to normal, but it's like it feels like nothing really, nothing's really back to normal. So it's like that thing too of like there's a whole year or two out of our life, and then after that, that just was kind of gone, and hopes and dreams and a readjustment of our lives that we still trying to figure out even now. That's like an extra layer on top of whatever you might have been dealing with before.
Yeah, it still ain't back to normal. 'Cause like I say, I with my family, I don't ever remember nobody having a conversation about no anxiety, no stress, no
Mhm.
PTSD, no depression, no nothing. And it's like you can reflect and see it. Like, for example, everybody might have that one uncle or cousin or even a father might have been in Vietnam and he got a room where he all the way in the back. You know, you go to the cookout, he's standing in the corner by himself. And your parents, they don't really say what's wrong with him. They just be like, well, you
Mhm.
know, he changed. He wasn't always like that, and they kind of leave it at that. Or maybe it might be a drug thing. Or they used to say this. I don't know if people still say it, but oh, somebody slipped him a Mickey. You know, what do that mean?
Oh
You know,
yeah.
you know. So you just be like, something wrong with you know. And you just
Mm.
keep it moving, but it, like you say, people talking about it more now, so it's a generational thing. So maybe our children and grandchildren, they at least be prepared. Like, okay, this is what this and this is. This is how you can fix it. Don't be afraid to talk about it. You know. So,
Make
yeah,
yes, yeah, that's yeah. It is interesting looking back at some of that now too. It's like, oh yeah, that's your crazy aunt, your crazy uncle. It's like, hey, maybe they just needed somebody they like, or you say like, oh man, that uncle that always got a beer in his hand and stuff like that, or oh, just got a little. It's like, sometimes that's hey, that's the way of processing through it, the best way they got to.
yeah. And not to, put them down or nothing, but it's just like they never really said what happened to him. He might have went to jail, might have went to the war. We don't know, and how it
Mhm.
affected him and how to prevent that from happening to us. And it could have been a learning experience that we could have carried on. But we trying to get it together. Now I can ask you, with your situation in particular, um, how long did you kind of keep what you was going through to yourself?
Um, it's interesting because like I always say I'm like an open book, but like so I'm always been pretty like talkative and stuff, but I've always played more of a listener role. Um, so I was always open about certain things, but I think for me to really talk more about my mental health, I think it was after that that breakup when I first started going to therapy and stuff, and just I never wanted to um portray that I was just like the image of like, oh man, you happy, you got this, you doing this, you running and stuff. Like I was like, I always want to be genuine because, you know, I want anybody else to feel like they got that space to talk and stuff too. So I think it was definitely after that breakup when I started going to therapy and stuff too, and just realizing just how bad I was. Like I was like, I don't want. I feel like it's easy, especially nowadays, to have this image of like, hey, things look good and stuff too, and it's like that's even talking about too. Like when you look back at like the community and stuff too. It's like the image of the family that looks good and stuff. But so I was like, I always wanted to live that genuine thing. So I think it was after that I just started kind of like something like writing and stuff. Writing's always been kind of therapy for me too. So I would just write, Facebook posts or something like that, and just kind of like being open about it because like I don't want anybody to be like, oh man, he model runner and stuff, he looking good. And it's like no, there's struggles on the back end, and even looking at some of like my heroes or people that I looked up to, like Maya Angelou, like other people, and hearing them be open about like, hey, this is my journey, but it came with some struggles. I was like, I don't want the next generation of young kids to look at it and be like, oh man, yeah, it's just so easy. It's like no, it's like there's gonna be some days where it's gonna be rough and it's a progress, but I think that's when I started just being more open about it. And then it took a minute, a little bit more to find like friends and social networks that were also supportive and stuff too. I mean, I always had supportive friends, but just finding just more people, close knit circle of friends where I could, have that talks and stuff, and then just finding those communities.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, the children of any generation, I guess, they would go out into the world with such a different perspective if they was raised differently, just raised to know like this is anxiety, this depression, this bipolar, this schizophrenia, this what happens, this is how you can cope with it, this is how you can get help, feel free to talk about it. If you just had all it, like they say, if I knew then what I knew now, if you just had all that
Oh,
information that
woo.
it wouldn't, I don't think the ride would be so rough where it's like you getting blasted and you trying to fix yourself instead of like, oh, okay, I know what to do if I get stabbed. I know what to do if the snake bite me. I already know what to do. You know what I'm saying? How to heal the wound, stitch it up. So it's like one of them things, but on the mental side. And I think another thing is like, the way we raise, especially as men, we not really black men. We not really able to show too many range of emotions. Like if we cry, we gonna get in trouble. If even in the community, if you somebody smiling too much, you're like, what's up with him? He shaky, or he keep laughing.
Oh,
Why he keep laughing? What's up with him? It's like you can't even be like a full human. But you could show aggression, you could show anger, you could show you tough, but you can't show you sensitive. You can't show your feelings hurt. You can't show you embarrassed. So you got 300 emotions. You narrowed it down to 3 or 4. You trying to work it. So after a while, it could boil over, because with the women, from what I could see, women are talking about their breakups. They get on the call like, girl, this boy done did me dirty. He done cheated on me. I done called him.
oh yeah.
But men don't do that. They ain't gonna call too many men and tell them that their woman broke their heart or cheated on. They might not tell a soul. So you just gotta walk around with it like that. So
Yeah, or you like, hey man, oh, we just gonna get, yeah, let's go drink or let's do it. Not saying that get your mind off it, ain't it? But yeah, just
right.
having, or you can be like, hey man, I just need some moment to like just talk it out. This shit hurt. Like I just need you to, you know, um, let me have that moment where I can be vulnerable and like open and cry that shit out. And I think I seen that a lot too, where a lot more people in the community, like I think even the group you made, just where black men can have those spaces where they can be vulnerable and be like, hey, it's okay. I think it makes you. That was something I had to fight with along the journey. Was like, it's okay for me to be, you know, crying and most that makes me stronger because I'm working and processing through that instead of just, holding it back or whatever. And um, it is rough because I still, it's ingrained in it. Sometimes I still be like, man, you gotta, you know, tough it up or you gotta just push through it and stuff. And it's hard not to go against that. I think that's a hard thing for black men because we are just taught that so much. It's just like, hey, you gotta tough it up, pull it in, and just like keep going, and that can weigh on
Yeah, for me, it's an everyday struggle. Every day you got to get up and put your gloves on. And on the day don't go by. You might have a smooth sailing day or two, but it's just life. You're going to have to get back out there and fight. And if you got people that, support you, it may like you boxing. You got a coach, you got a ring, man. You got a dude to hold spray the water on. You got the towel, man. You got help. And it's like what you were saying earlier about Facebook, because I didn't have nobody to really communicate with on the mental side. So I would go to Facebook about mental health and different things. And I was kind of skeptical, like, damn, maybe I post something and I'm like, damn, I went too deep. I put too much out there. But then
you.
you see there's 100 men in the back, like, shit, let me tell you about my story. And I'm like, let's start the group now. And it got off slow, you know what I'm saying? It was at 500 people, 300 people, 800, 1,000. But I started it in 2022. So we had 150, 160,000 men, you know what I'm saying? Mostly 90% men, black men. So, you know.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah, I was really excited when I saw the group, and I was like, yeah, that's like exactly just finding a group
Yeah,
of people just trying to support each other and stuff. Just
yeah, yeah.
because
Yeah.
it is rough because it's like I think after that first breakup, that was one of the things that kind of surprised me. I was like, there was one friend that was like, "Are you okay?" And it's like, cause just because you broke up with that person don't mean, it's always like, you know, I know it's rough on your end to break up with somebody, even if you love them. So it's like, oh, that just caught me by surprise that somebody took that moment to say like, "Hey, you good?" Like, so
Yeah. Yeah, that's how it be sometimes. And then sometimes stuff happen to you. Like I don't know, I can't speak for you. Like you be like, man, I was mad about that. Or you might look up later, then you may meet somebody else, or maybe not, but you might be like, man, it's almost a good thing that it did happen. But you don't say that while you're going through it. You know what I'm saying?
hmm
But like I say, just having somebody to tell you like, man, you'll be all right. You know, you think it's the end of the world basically, and then 10 years, 20 years later, you be like, damn, I was tripping. But you know, at least you equipped, like I say, to you might have sons or grandsons, like, you know, don't take it so hard, or you will be okay. You know, you need to hear those things, you know, a lot of times.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. I think sometimes you just need somebody, yeah, just somebody to let you know it's gonna be okay. Cause yeah, in retrospect, I look back at some of the moments that had me like, Cuba Good and swinging at the air. I'm like, man, I was tripping over that. Man, that ain't even that big now, especially, you know, in life thing. But like, it's like if at some moment I had some person just to be like, hey, hand on your shoulder, I'm good. Hey, you got it, man. You gonna make it through that. Like those words, I think, um, just mean a lot. And I think that's one thing like that's evolved with mental health things too. Is just like I know before when social media started, it was like not really talked about, and I feel like we're having more discussions on it now. But I think there's still this understanding like how do you support somebody, and what do you do? Like, hey, like now that we know about more of it, it's like, hey, what do I do? And sometimes it's just sitting through somebody there with it. Like, there ain't something you can necessarily do to fix it, and it's not something that necessarily can be fixed depending on if it's chemical, from some trauma and something like that. But just hey, just letting somebody know you got that support, um, and that you got somebody there for you. Because I think that's the biggest thing. Is like you can feel so alone, especially you say I know like during the pandemic, that was like anything that was going on, it felt extra heavy because it's like I'm really, you know,
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. And then like what I'm trying to do with the group, like it's basically an online thing. But I don't know if you see my post or not. I'm trying to get it where like if we could get a natural space, we get a couple acres of land, however we get it. I was saying we got 150,000 people in the group. Everybody put $1 in. But if we could get, say, we get 3, 4 acres or more, if we could get it in a natural space, maybe near a lake or a river or a creek, we could we could go fishing, we could go camping, we could do meditation, we could do yoga, we could do retreats, we could grow fruits and vegetables, we could hunt, we could start a beehive, we could start a chicken coop, and we could have a regular gathering of people that's on the same wave. We create a foundation. And it's like if we got 10 people around us, like around the campfire, everybody telling their story, and we're like, oh, okay. Everybody telling how they cope with it. Everybody telling how they went to therapy and how it saved them. And then we can go back out into our community and you know what I'm saying? Just reverberate. We go back to our different cities, but we'll always have a place where we can go to. So now I got like I'm working on a calendar for 7 days. So every Sunday we'll do like the group call where people just talk about what they're going through, talk about their childhood, talk about their relationships. And then Monday it's a guy that's supposed to be doing the journaling. So some people already know how to do it. Some people never done it. So everybody kind of in between. We do the journaling every Monday. Then we've been the last couple of weeks we've been doing meditation on Tuesday. Have people
oh,
doing that. Then on Wednesday we talk about the farm and the land and the economic component of trying to bring it together, where everybody can be involved. They can be on the board if they really want to be active. Then Thursday, we doing the group chat about the retreat, organizing the retreats. So we planning to go to Africa, but we can continuously plan. We can have one in Tennessee. You in Tennessee, I'm in Tennessee. You know what I'm saying? We can have just one for the Tennessee people, then we can have one for the whole 50 states to come. Then Friday, I'm trying to do a thing where we do the step challenge. Everybody got the little step counter on their phone. Some people more
yeah,
advanced than others. Some might get 10,000 steps. Some might get 2,000. But at least we got like a community. Like, okay, you got 2,000. I got 10. Maybe I could get 2,500 now because you got that group. Versus if you by yourself, like I don't even feel like going outside today. But you got
no, yeah,
you got 100 men with you. You know what I'm saying? Just to help, boost you and motivate you. Taking it to the next level.
yeah, man, I love it. I love the vision and the vision in the community. Like that's that's awesome, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Now I can ask you this: who or what do you feel like helped you the most when you was, trying to heal and take care of your mental health?
I think there's been like a lot of community of people that have like helped me along the way. There was one of my I've had like a lot of good mother figures and father figures in my life too, but like one of the ones that comes up whenever I was having something going on, I would roll up to her porch and we just sat out on the porch and she would give me just advice and be like, "Hey, it gonna be okay. You made it this far. You gonna be okay. You just gotta have faith in God." And you know, it's just been people like that that have just I think figures and role models that have like we sound like her name that was Miss Marsha. And I called her my mom and we just sit in the porch and chill. And as I got older sometimes we called it hot gin night. I'd have a bottle of gin I kept in my trunk sometimes and we'd sit and chill and drink and she just impart that life advice just like, you know, somebody who had been through so much and had her own mental health struggles, but always did what she needed for her family and stuff like that. And just was like, it can be rough some days, but you gotta keep smiling, chill on it, and make it through. And so, um, and then I think later on in life, just now, like I have a pretty good group of friends that they all go to therapy or do stuff different ways. So sometimes we just have that real upfront thing when we talk, and it's just like, "How you week, man?" It's like, "Man, it been rough as I don't know if I can curse. It been rough as fuck at work, but and it's like, man, it's okay, but we just it ain't got to be anything but genuine, and like we can show up and be like, hey, I had a rough week too. But I think that's been just really good of just showing up, being real about it, and just I think
Yeah.
not putting that mask on. I think that was the biggest thing depression in my early years. I always felt like I had to put this mask on to like you got to go out, you got to go into work, you got to be happy, you got to you can't call out depressed to work. You got to go in no matter what. But just having that thing is just showing up authentically in those places, I think, and just having those friends and stuff now, and then looking back at those people that were role models like Miss Marston and stuff, and like when I get down, I'm like, man, I feel like she's right there with me. Like, hey, you gotta pick your head up. It's rough right now. You gotta just chill out on the couch and just sit with it and do that. But at the end of it, get back up. You can't give up now.
Yeah, man, that's crucial. I mean, to have a place like that, even if it's one person, it don't got to be nothing fancy or, nothing like that. We either go on the porch or go on the couch and they're like, man, I'm gonna hang for a minute. We just gonna, what I'm saying, crack a brew or drink some water, whatever. But, and just to I'm processing it. If I can create something like that, I love it. Have a place for the fellas. You know what I'm saying? Where we can just talk and chill. And you be around. Some people that mean well. Sometimes you go places and you just feel so uncomfortable and you just be out your network. And like I said, we could bring it together. Where we know we all here for the same thing. We can't lose.
hmm
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
yeah.
no, I love that. Like just that because there's been other times I've had like running groups and stuff like that. There's a black men's running group I'm in Knoxville, but just like I think like you say, you got that community, and it's interesting because it feels like I feel like that's part of what's made it harder with mental health now. It's like we're very connected as a society, but it's so hard. Like you know, we used to have such big community things. We lived in towns, we did stuff as groups, and it feels like now it's like there are groups, but it's like it's hard to have that community that we had before. Like you talking about when you visit, it was just like some place where hey, we get together and we go fishing sometimes. We get together and we work on the farm. We doing this. We sharing that visiting goal and community where you had those spaces where naturally, hey, while you fishing, you gonna be talking about man, I'm going through it right now. Or you going for a run and walk together. You have that so you just naturally talk about it. It feels like, and part of it's just life. I feel like it's hard to balance work and family and taking care of yourself too. So, I mean, that kind of goes back into that thing of the black man. You got to be strong. So sometimes all the other stuff goes away, and you trying to you that being able to prioritize taking care of yourself and balancing that is just so hard.
Yeah, yeah, the finances is definitely a component. Like I was watching the video, they had these little clips. It was a lady and she was just basically talking about like her mother, and our sisters and brothers they live in one house, and instead of them having four different houses and all of them paying $2,000 a month and having four different cars, it's nice to have that type of stuff. But if we could just work together, we won't be so much financial strain because that's a part of it too. The economic stress, man, especially
Oh,
with the price of everything going up, the rent, the food, the gas, the milk, the bread, everything, haircut. You're gonna be just like you say. You can't call off from work because you're depressed or stressed out, and you should be able to, but because that's worse sometimes than the physical. You know what I'm saying? If you sprain your ankle or you feeling depressed, I take the sprained ankle. You know what I'm saying? So, but I can ask you this, like, you know, um, what are some things or something that you do, to help get your mind right, daily, weekly, or every now and then, like a habit.
um, I think music, music and art has always been two big things. Um, it's always been that. So sometimes I just put like my headphones in, and just exploring new music and listening to music, and then drawing and creating art and stuff like that has always been a big one too. I'm trying to get back in the habit. It's harder with a she's one now, so it's like got to running something I can go running with. But running was always a big one too because it was just like meditative. You just moving your body, you know, exercise and stuff like that. So just moving my body. I think community events and stuff too. Like I used to love volunteering or connecting with like just groups like that because that reminded me just that thing that there's a bigger thing too. I think sometimes you can breast feel like you by yourself and there's one thing. So when I connect with those community things, I'm like, hey, stuff is dark, but at least there's always collective people that we're all trying to like we're trying to do something. So I think yeah, I just music, art, running, and then anything community like volunteering and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, that's dope. I can relate. I go jogging like probably twice a week at least. When I first started running, like my arms were hurt, my leg was my ankles, but I only could run for like 5 minutes, but I built it up to the point where it's like now I run for 30 minutes, no less every time. But I used to look at people jogging. I'm like, why are they jogging like this? Why is it's cold? But now I understand it's the mental thing. It's that runner's high that you get, and it's like the days that you really, really feel messed up and don't want to jog, them be the best runs. Once you
Oh
finish,
man, yeah.
it just be like glowing off of you. And then the music too. Like I put on like one of those albums that you could play all the way through, like a classic album. So that way I ain't gotta be skipping and flipping through songs and stuff.
Hmm.
And then I challenge myself to listen to new stuff, old stuff, try to mix it up, stuff that just keep me motivated. So I'm enjoying the music, enjoying the run, and then I write music. Then, that's stress relief right there. You get to be creative, having some type of creative outlet is always helpful. Creativity and mental health. I think that go hand in hand.
What kind of music you write, man?
Man, I do hip hop. I be rapping, man.
Oh man.
You write music too?
No, no, no. I would love to. I'm trying to learn the keyboard, but no.
Mm.
That's dope, man. That's what's up. Yeah, I think that's my big. I think I love the volunteering and stuff too. Like I think I love volunteering with kids with teaching them art and stuff too because I feel like art is a very big way of like um I almost say it like a joke. I feel like the mental and stuff like that. Like that's our way of processing it. Like it's like sometimes I'm like I wish I could get the artistry without the depressing, but I feel like it goes hand in hand because it's that real way of looking at you look at the world. You seeing the genuine like thing, the beauty and the scars of the world. You trying to convey that in our art, our music, pictures, whatever we doing. So
Mm.
I think it's a good way of like I don't know helping to process through a mental journey and stuff too, right? And be it writing, music, pictures, painting, or any other form, dancing. I think.
Yeah, definitely. And like you say, volunteering. I'm a world traveler. I've been to about 70 countries, but I done did a lot of volunteering. I studied abroad in Dominican Republic. I wasn't working there, but I was volunteering at an orphanage and a community center, like after class, because I met some people and they hooked it up. I'm like, yeah, I love to try it and stuff like that. It's life changing, to be able to work with children and even work with adults. I don't volunteer at homeless shelters. I don't volunteer at back to school giveaways, winter giveaways. We giving away coats and hats. Go to the homeless shelter, help pass out food, feed the homeless. I started an urban garden in 2022 in Cleveland, where I'm from. Like they got like a lot of abandoned houses. They'll knock them down, after they get so old and people done destroy them and stuff. And then they'll turn into these lots, but people would throw trash in there and drugs and bodies and weapons. So I bought a couple of them, then I cleaned them out, and then that's when I started the urban garden. I was growing fruits and vegetables. I had a beehive, I had a chicken coop, but I would have community events. So I'll bring the kids, I'll bring the elders, I'll bring the parents out, and teach them how to do all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And those are some of my best moments that I cherish in life. Like I want to live like that. You know what I'm saying? Because I know, like sometimes you might go to sleep and then you'll wake up. You like I said earlier, you just in a bad mood and you don't know why. But
Mhm.
having that garden, having them chickens chirping at like 7, 8 in the morning, that motivated me to get up. And then once I got up, I was so focused on, okay, let me water the crops, let me cut a couple leaves, let me turn the soil, let me feed the chicks. Then I put on my bee suit, and then with the beehive, one bee, is frightening to most people, let alone having 10,000 bees. So when you
Yeah.
open up the box, you got to move the trays. You moving them with caution and care. You got to slowly inspect them and pick them up and put them down. So you done spent 2, 3 hours, the sun rising, the natural wind blowing. You done touched the soil. You done touched some animals. You touching leaves. That stuff release natural dopamine in your body. Because we used to
Mhm.
the artificial dopamine, like the TV or the video game. We in the house all day. We leave the house, we get right into the car. We get out the car, we go right into the job. We get out the job, we go right into the supermarket. So the majority of the day, we in the artificial enclosure instead of being out in nature.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome. How long you been doing with the bees and stuff?
I started in 2022, but I'll be back and forth to Africa, so I ain't do it this year. I'm trying. If we get this land, I'm gonna hop. That's one of the first things I'm gonna do because I was selling honey. I put it in a jar with the beeswax and the honey, bumblebee, all that stuff in there, straight organic. I don't do no chemicals.
Man, that's dope too. Like just like learning that skill and stuff too. Like you said, you got to be like gentle and learn the ways with them. That's what's up.
Hmm. Yeah, because it's scary at first. The average person gonna be terrified to do like 1,000 bees, 10,000. But once you do it and you see how it go, because a lot of stuff be complicated till you do it or you learn how to do it. You
Mhm.
gonna get it. You gonna get addicted to it. Like you gonna want this to be a part of your life. Because I was reading something that's like, the bees they can communicate. They make different sounds like when they gonna attack or when they doing this or doing that, and they release like I think it may be called like pheromone or something like that. And it's
Yeah.
just like good for you breathing it in, and you just get the whole. I'm telling you, man, it's like the runner's high. You gonna be like, I can't live without this if I can help it. So I'm definitely gonna
Heck yeah.
get back into that ASAP.
Heck yeah, man. And that's awesome with like you taking the lots and like, hey, this is something that would just be sitting there and be going to like something, not conducive with, hey, what can I do to use this space to build something up and educate people and build something that the community can like, even like the old African proverb, it takes a whole village to raise a child. Like I'm like, I'll think of that one all the time. It's like I love anything that builds in the community. I think like that's one of the ways that we help each other, because like you say, rent, food, everything get more expensive. So we got to come together, got to chain together to do something. So I love that community
Mhm.
gardens.
Yeah, it's a great experience. Now I can ask you this: do you feel like another black man come to you and they looking for advice or help, and they like, I don't even know where to start in terms of this mental health thing. What would you tell them?
Um, I think the first thing I say is like, hey, it's gonna be okay. You ain't gotta have it figured out. All the day, like, and just really, I think, just talk and like listen to what hey, what's on their mind, like, what's got you feeling this way? What are you feeling? And hey, then I sit and say, hey, let's look and see what resources we have. Because I think that's one of the biggest things I see. Like, I feel like stuff could go more, but there's so many resources out there now that we just don't know about. So it's like, hey, um, like personally through my work, they offer like so many sessions of like therapy and stuff. So sometimes I'd be like, hey, let's see if your job got something that you could, if therapy is what you want to go through, or hey, if we need to get, maybe it's something where you might need some medicine. And also, hey, just so you know, I'm always here. I got your back. You got a phone number. Sometimes it's something that you got to sit down and talk with. But, um, you know, it is a process and a journey. But hey, let them know I'm there to support them through it because I know it's been a journey for me, and I'm still figuring it out. So, um, yeah, I think just letting them know it's gonna be okay, and remember that they're not alone. I think that's the biggest thing too. You ain't alone in it. If there's ever a point where you feel like you're alone, just always, reach out to me, reach out to somebody, but don't ever feel like you're alone. 'Cause I think that can be the heaviest part of it, feeling like you in it by yourself.
Yeah. They say loneliness is at an all-time high, man. So you definitely on point with that. Um, Now, I guess in terms of you mentioned speaking out and reaching out to others, um, why is it important for us to start opening up, or why is it important for someone to open up about their own, mental health story?
Um, I think I think the biggest thing is because there's somebody else. One, it's just good for yourself. Just let it out there. Like, get out there in the open, speak your truth. I always believe in that. Like, you got to open that throat chakra. You got to speak your truth. Um, but also, I think because it lets anybody else that might be going through something similar know that they okay too. Because again, we all feel like we alone. We the only one going through stuff, and all of our stories are unique. But like, I feel like when somebody else like, man, shit, that's how similar to how I'm feeling. I think you said something similar earlier. It's like when you start talking, you like, okay, man, like, you know, uh, shit, my rent just went up $5,000 too, and my car just, might just got a busted tire. It's like, we might not be able to do something. Hey, we can drink this beer and chill and be like, we know we ain't alone. So I think that's the biggest thing. Sometimes, like, I think you talk about the post where it's like, man, sometimes I think about writing something and there's a bunch of posts or something I've thought about writing that I haven't put out, but it's like some of the ones that I was like, okay, I'm gonna put it out there, and even sometimes an hour after, but like somebody will say, man, I was really feeling something similar, or I'm going through something similar, and I was like, you know, that feels. I think when we start speaking out and talking, we realize we aren't as alone in what we're going through, or at least in the mental health, you know, processing through stuff, and realizing that depression, anxiety, any of those things. I think we think that it's got to be like a quick fix or whatever. Sometimes it's a lifelong thing, but it's just getting those tools and figure. And I think the more we speak out and talk too, we share those tools and stuff. Like, hey, running, helps me and you. It might not help somebody else, but hey, you might talk to somebody else and be like, man, art helps me or this helps me. So the more we talk, the more we give each other and share these tools amongst each other and stuff too, just to help each other, cope and work through that day to day, just so we ain't losing nobody else. I think that's the biggest thing. You speak out because you know, it's sad. I don't want to lose anybody else to that mental health struggle when we could just, speak out and talk and share that community and maybe help them figure out some kind of way to, you know, live and thrive with it.
Yeah, most definitely. Like you say, it's a lifelong journey. I mean, it's like everything else. If you eat some food, you got to eat again tomorrow and the day after. You go to the gym and you lift weights for 5 hours, you ain't done. You ain't gonna be a body, cut up. You got to work on that every day, every other day. legs one day, shoulders, chest one day. Art, you want to be the best, rapper or singer, you got to practice, and you gonna have some. Look at comedians; they get booed, and people throw tomatoes at
Yeah.
them on stage. You got to keep, fighting. To keep
Yeah, you got
swinging.
to keep on.
And then the thing is, we just fail to realize, and maybe social media play a even more, detrimental part in this fashion. Everybody going through something, but some people life just looks so glamorous. The way they make it look. All their
Oh
pictures
yeah.
look perfect. All their hair always done. Or they always in a nice car. Or they always they eating at a restaurant with the, filet mignon every night. But
Oh yeah.
you be thinking like, damn, my life is, I ain't shit, but they got problems too. You know what I'm saying? Rich people have problems too, believe it or not, because if somebody give you $1 billion right now, is that gonna make your wife stop cheating on you? Is that gonna fix the relationship you have with your father? Is that gonna bring back your mother? Is that gonna make sure your kids respect you just because you got more money now? You know what I'm saying? So it's just a tool. And I've interviewed a lot of psychologists from Harvard, from Yale, from Princeton, and the thing of from what some of them say, not all of it, but basically it's only like it's a cutoff point with money. Like, it say if you got like somebody like, okay, here go 50,000, you're gonna be happy. Like, especially if you're not rich, like, oh, 50,000, 150,000. Then you be like, okay, here go 100,000. Like, once you get enough money to pay all your bills, get the house of your dreams, get the car you want, the happiness factor is gonna plateau. Because it's like, if somebody give you 10 million, if they give you 100 million, you gonna be happy at that point, but it's not gonna change the structure of your family and what you done been through already. It's like, oh, I want
Oh
100 million, 100 billion, 10, 20, trillion. Like, you still got to deal with life, basically.
oh yeah.
So it don't hurt to have it, but we just think, especially for our people, like, because we've been through so much, been so poor. Like, if I get money, it's gonna solve everything. And it's like, I think a lot of celebrities, when you see them acting out, a part of it is like they thought the money was gonna maybe fix that mental health. They still lonely. They still don't got a
Mm.
community to talk to. They still afraid to, especially even more now. They famous now, so it's probably even harder for them to come out and say, "Man, I'm heartbroken," or "This happened to me when I was a kid." Because they feel like they got more to lose, and also people gonna make fun of them because people feel like if you a celebrity, like you're not human no more.
Oh yeah, you got to be perfect or whatever, and then shoot,
Mhm.
like you said, like shoot, you a celebrity, you go through a breakup, man. You a meme in 5 minutes or less. And it's like you saw him crying out there because you go up. It's like, man, so that's what I think. That's I think something that ties in with the mental health thing too is just like so much of what we were taught to. Like there's so many different factors that go into mental health, and I think one of the things is like the ideal of what we were taught is the perfect, this is what you have to have a life. You get married, you have kids, you do this, or
Mhm.
you successfully go to college, you get this, and stuff has changed so much. It's a struggle. Like even shoot, housing market, trying to find a job, trying to get through college, and then you get through college and you can't find a job. So it's so much stuff that, like I said, I always keep thinking and trying to think like, hey, don't shame yourself. You got to operate out of love. Like, but like it's so easy to shame yourself and be like, I'm not where I'm supposed to be, and especially when you look at it and be like, well, this person got the house, the car, and stuff. Or you say they still might be struggling, taxes and stuff like that on the back end. But I think it's so easy with the mental health thing of just like where we're supposed to be in this push of like, hey, you make it, you feel like you failed, and especially as black men too. Like it's like that kind of falls on you. You feel like your house ain't doing well. You like shit, that means I'm a failure because my family. I think I've heard of so many sad cases where people took their lives. They're like, man, they lost their job, and they was like, how am I tell my wife and my kids? How am I feed them? At least And it's a big weight where that failure sometimes feels like it falls on us because it's like, man, I'm supposed to be the one providing for everybody. I'm supposed to be the one making sure food, the lights on, so it can be extra heavy.
Yeah, because like you say, we in the box. We programmed to think this is success or this is the life, and we don't know the full story. And it's just like when you base your happiness off of those things, it's gonna fluctuate. Like you say, like, oh, you got to get married, or you got to have this much money, or you got to have this car, this house, and when you get those things and you still see like, oh man, this ain't it. You know what I'm saying? So you gonna be going like every time, you know. So it is what it is. Okay, now I wanted to ask you this. Do you feel like the conversation around, mental health in the black community, has changed? And what do you feel like would need more work in that regard?
Hmm. I feel like I feel like it definitely has changed overall. Like I feel like um there's still more to go. I still just feel like pockets, where there's still some of the old thing like, hey man, this is the old, uh this is the ideal of what you're supposed to be. You gotta be strong, you gotta do this, you gotta just keep pushing through it. You can't, but I feel like a lot more we just realizing we can't do it anymore. People breaking down, people, it's like, and especially after the pandemic, we like, man, we all kind of stressed and depressed. So, um, like, I think, I think we're having more spaces and communities like the one you created where people are talking about it, or um, I'm starting to see, more spaces where it's like, hey, man, it's okay for you to be like, for you to cry, for you to say, I'm not okay, for you to do this. 'Cause I think we're realizing that if we really want to do stuff, we have to be able to heal. You can't just tell somebody to man up and do this, because that's going the other way of the problem. That doesn't really solve where somebody just needs that space to feel like they're okay. So I feel like there's still room to grow um, with that, and just um, I think that's just part of the thing. We've been through it, and there's so much that goes into that. Just even how we got here as a black people. There's just so much generational stuff to unpack. But I feel like we moving towards it with things like spaces like yours and stuff where we talking about it and actually saying like I see that more too, where it's just like more stuff we got a lot of generational trauma from. I mean, we can't how we got here as a people to the fact of how our parents had to like process through that and just, lynches and stuff like that and still be okay, and then trying to process how to keep us safe, but also, through all of that. So I think it's just a lot of generational trauma and generational stuff that we got to unpack and stuff too. That we're working on it, but it's just gonna take some time. But I feel like it's moving in the right direction.
Yeah, yeah, you're definitely right about that. And then a lot of times people may overlook like if you having a mental health, I guess, issue, they'll think, well, something happened to you or you've been through something. But like you say, it can be generational. It could be something that run in your family. You could have a perfect life and you still might get handed down something from the slave ship, or something that might have happened to one of your great grandparents. Because I'm a genealogist. I do people's family tree, so I trace people family ancestry into the 1700s, 1800s. I be finding slave schedules and pictures and for sale and all type of stuff. And some of it is empowering and some of it is sad, to learn those things. And we only getting a document, so we only getting a fraction of that person's story. But it's just, it is what it is.
I might have to hit you up because I was trying to go through like the ancestry thing, and that was one thing that kind of like hit me like, hey, to a certain extent when I went back, I'm like, man, like where can I find this stuff? And that kind of messes with you too, because like you say, it's like, man, like yeah, it's just rough, like knowing like, oh man, like I gotta try to track some stuff extra down because it just depends on how the paperwork and stuff was moving. So like that's awesome that you're doing that and helping people find that stuff too, because it's like that is I think that's another thing to hit. Like you see so many people that are like, man, I know my great great uncle and my stuff like this, and it's like, man, I'm trying to find it's like shit. Once I get to here, it's like, was that even their last name? It depends on who owns my great uncle. Like, and you gotta stop and sit and think with that too, and like process through it. It's just like, it's a lot.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Because, like you say, most of the people they have attempted to put it together, but like I say, by me doing it regularly, I can usually go further than they can. Because I just learned, you learn a couple tricks like this, and this.
Hmm.
or even if they have made it back to the plantation, I might be able to find like some newspaper articles, or I done found pictures and stuff, or different little documents. Because a lot of times we try to hit it like, like mom, her mother, mother. Sometimes you might have to hit the uncle, the great uncle, or you know what I'm saying. You might have to go around the back door on them.
Oh yeah.
Got two parents. You got four grandparents, eight great, 32 great, 64 great, 120. All them people got brothers and sisters. You feel me? So,
Yeah.
yeah. But let me know, if you need some info, or if you want me to take it to the lab, I'll break it down for you. Now let me see. Now for this the last question. If somebody is watching this episode, and they struggling, what's one thing you hope that they hear from your story?
Um, I know it's like the common quote, but I think it's just like it's okay to not be okay. I think just we instantly, I know from my own things, it's like we instantly think like I'm not okay, I'm failing, I gotta do something better. And it's like sometimes you just gotta, hey, sit with it as long as you need to. Um, if it's really bad, reach out, suicide hotline, church, family, like have that support group, like one person. Um, you know, it's um, finding that something but just keep going on. I know it can be tough to feel like, man, I'm here and I'm gonna be here again. But you got to just think of, like that's what life is comprised of is the dark moments, but there's so many beautiful things and light things to find. So just finding what it is that motivates you to keep going, whether it be running or your own spark. But there's a reason that, we're all here. And so, you know, um, your story can keep going on. There's something beautiful from your story that inspires somebody else. So, hey, you got to keep going. You don't know why God has you here for. So keep going.
Yeah, most certainly. And then I would add, just try to find your passion, your why, what's gonna wake you up every morning and just be like, "Ooh, I gotta work on this thing." That helps. And then you gotta be open and try new things. Cause like I started the mental health group. That was something new for me. I ain't think it would turn into hundreds of thousands of people. You know what I'm saying? And you got to
Oh,
look at it like, don't put a time limit, or don't put a ceiling on yourself. Like, if I don't get this many views by this day, or if I don't get
oh
this
yeah.
many followers, I ain't gonna do it. And then I started a podcast. I don't know if I told you, I got a celebrity podcast. I interview
Oh
famous
man.
comedians, famous rappers, famous, like I say, professors at Harvard, Yale, Princeton. I interview astronauts, all type of people.
Yes,
And I say
man.
that to say that's a good way to help me, that helped me get through, some of that loneliness or some of that mental health, meeting new people, constantly seeking out new people and learning new things, so starting a podcast might be a good for a good person that maybe if you like to talk. Some people have a podcast where they do all the talking. That's cool. Or my podcast, every episode I have a different guest. So I'll interview them, ask them the questions, and I might just learn one little trick or one little thing. I interviewed a beekeeper and he said this, and this, and I was listening. Then I went and got me the beehive. And then when I did get the beehive, he came out and looked at it and was like, "Man, I help you get you together." So that one little podcast interview went from getting a little information to a friendship to a beehive. You know what I'm saying? So
I think that being a student of life, I think that's one of the biggest things. Like out of all the things, like I said, like you say, like being a beekeeper and podcast, you always learning something new and growing. And I think it makes you realize like this world is so big. I want to travel and stuff more to myself. Like I think like just realizing that it can be so easy to focus on like, man, this is right here. But like, man, there's so much stuff in life. It's such a big world. And there's so much like so many people we haven't met, skills we haven't learned. So I definitely agree. Like just always like some days when I feel like giving up, I'm like, man, I still something I ain't learned. It's still like I still want to run this race. I still want to learn this skill. I ain't wrote the book I want to write yet. I ain't did this. So why am I in my story right now when there's still so much for me to learn? Like,
yeah, man, it's so much out there, man. And the thing is, you'll be surprised what you like and what you interested in. Because you ain't if you ain't never tried it, and especially if you know nobody from the hood or from the family that done did it, or you know what I'm saying. Sometimes you got to be the first one. Like I say, I'm a world traveler, going to them different countries and trying different food, learning different languages, volunteering, meeting new people. That's why I do the group tours. If you ever want to like go to Brazil or Africa, like I lived in some of these places, so I could take you everywhere, and I could take you to the local, the real. You know what I'm saying? And it
Oh
just
heck
could be
yeah.
a life change. One, if you go to one place, it could be a life changing experience. You'll be able to process that experience for the rest of your life. If you go to Africa right now, 50 years from now, you could tell people how you went to Africa. I'm like, you went to Africa? What happened? What you go back now? You go like, man, I can't think about it. Malcolm X went to Africa, Muhammad Ali, Kendrick Lamar, Dave Chappelle, and I can name 50 other people. They all of them when they came back. Stevie Wonder, he blind, he came back like I love Africa. So it's something about it. You know what I'm saying? It don't have to be just Africa,
Yeah.
but I'm just giving you
Oh no,
look how
yeah.
much it impacted Richard Pryor. As crazy as he is, he came a comedian. He
Yeah.
came back like, man, I went to Africa. It was dope. So it was beautiful. So
I about to say, yeah, everybody I've like seen that's win, like it's you can tell it changed the experience, like really hit them and changed them.
mhm. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on the show, helping me getting it started. You my second, third guest, something like that. So I'll probably drop this one this week. Um, and that's it. Unless you want to hit them off with something else.
No, man, I was gonna say thank you. I appreciate you for having me on here and taking time out and for starting the group and stuff too. Like I said, I was excited when I saw that because I was like at a stage where I was just starting therapy and stuff back too, and I saw that and I was like, man, just a group where we got each other. So yeah, man, I love it. Love what you're doing, the vision and stuff, even with the farm and stuff. So I was gonna say, for anybody out there, just keep your head up and just, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. Is all I can say. It's gonna be okay. You got
Yeah.
it.